Search is everywhere. The question is, are you showing up? This is Search as a Channel.
Imagine, just for a second, that you're logging into your analytics platform on a Monday morning.
The usual routine, right?
Exactly, your typical morning. But you look and your organic human traffic has just flatlined. I mean, completely stagnant, down to zero growth.
Which is usually panic-inducing.
Oh, total panic. But then you click over to your revenue dashboard and your checkout page is buzzing.
Wait, really? With no traffic?
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Transactions are clearing, carts are updating, products are moving out the door, but there are zero human browsing sessions attached to those sales.
Invisible hands, basically.
Right. Invisible hands navigating your funnels. And if you're an agency owner or, a marketing director staring at this massive discrepancy, you were not looking at a broken tracking pixel.
No, definitely not a bug.
No. What you're looking at is the arrival of the agentic web. And that is exactly what we are getting into today.
It is such a massive shift.
It really is. We are doing a deep dive into a stack of recent reports and expert analyses from late March 2026. And our mission here is to unpack this structural shift. We want to break down exactly how marketing agencies and brand managers need to completely pivot their business models, like right now, to survive.
Because the basic mechanics of the internet have just fundamentally changed.
Exactly. But I want to be clear right up front. This is not some doom and gloom scenario for digital marketing.
Right. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah, it is probably the biggest structural opportunity since the invention of the search engine itself.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think the sheer velocity of this transition is what really stands out in the data we're looking at.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
Super fast. I mean, we aren't theorizing about some hypothetical future state of the web anymore. It has already happened.
Right. The numbers prove it. Let's talk about that human security report.
Yeah, the State of AI Traffic Report, it provides this really stark baseline. So throughout 2025, human internet traffic only grew by a mere 3.1%.
Wow. So it basically just plateaued.
Effectively, yes. Human growth is flat. But automated traffic, on the other hand, jumped by 23.5% year over year.
Okay, 23% is a lot, but there's a crazier stat in there, right?
Oh, yeah. The explosive metric, the one that requires a total strategic rethink for agencies, is that traffic specifically from AI agents and agentic browsers, so we're talking systems like OpenAI's Atlas and Perplexity's Comet.
Right. That
specific traffic grew by nearly 8,000%.
8,000%. In a single year.
Yeah, year over year.
That is just, that's staggering.
Yeah.
And I think we need to clarify what these specific agents are actually doing out there because they aren't just web scrapers, right? They aren't just plain text for a search engine index.
No, not at all. They are behaving like actual users who are trying to accomplish a specific goal.
Right. Because the data shows that 77% of this agent activity is happening on product and search pages.
They're shopping.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And nearly 9% is touching account-level interactions. So that's things like logging in, changing user preferences, managing settings.
Which requires complex navigation.
Exactly. And then over 2% of these bots are reaching actual checkout flows. They are actively navigating the sales funnel.
Because they are executing tasks on behalf of a human user.
Give me an example of how that looks.
Sure. So when a human tells their AI assistant, hey, find the best noise-canceling headphones under $200 and just buy them for me.
Right, delegating the whole chore.
Exactly. The agent has to hit the web, evaluate all the different options, find the right price, and actually process the transaction.
Damn, yeah.
And Cloudflare's CEO recently looked at this whole trajectory and predicted that bots will overtake human web usage entirely by 2027.
By 2027, that is like tomorrow.
It is. And if the majority of your website's quote-unquote visitors are machines, well, the platform is no longer optimizing for discovery. It's optimizing for task completion.
I think about it a lot in terms of architecture, like physical architecture.
Okay, how so?
Well, optimizing a website used to be like designing this incredibly attractive storefront window for foot traffic,
Right, the classic retail model.
Yeah. You obsessed over the beautiful lighting, the eye-catching displays, the persuasive signage, all of it designed to draw actual human beings inside the store.
Aesthetics mattered most.
Exactly. But now it's like you also need to build this standardized, completely frictionless loading dock in the back alleyway. and it's for a massive fleet of automated delivery drones.
I love that analogy. That's exactly it.
And the kicker is, if your loading dock doesn't perfectly fit the drone's technical specifications, it doesn't matter how pretty your storefront window is.
The drone just bounces.
Right. It simply flies right by and goes to a competitor who actually has the right infrastructure built out.
Because the underlying technology dictating how a site is navigated has completely changed to accommodate that loading dock.
And the major platforms are kind of forcing this on us, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. They're already rolling out new protocols to facilitate this. We are shifting from search as a tool for, information retrieval.
10 blue links.
Right, to search acting as a fully transactional operating system. I mean, Google recently introduced a new crawler called Google Agent.
And that's different from the regular Googlebot we all know.
Entirely distinct. Googlebot just looks for keywords and links to index. But Google Agent is designed specifically for Google-hosted AI to navigate the web and actually perform complex actions.
Which brings up a really important point about the mechanics here. How do these machines actually interact with the site? Because traditionally, a web scraper has to load the document object model, the DOM, and look for specific HTML text.
Which is super fragile.
Incredibly brittle. Like if a brand changes its site layout or updates a CSS class, the scraper just breaks because the price tag moved 2 pixels to the left.
Right, because it's trying to, quote unquote, look at the page like a human would.
Yeah. But in the sources we're looking at, expert Marie Haynes points out that we're moving entirely away from that human-first visual interpretation.
Thank God, honestly.
Right. And we're moving toward new frameworks, specifically things like WebMCP.
The Model Context Protocol. This is the game changer.
Break that down for us. What does it actually do?
So WebMCP fundamentally changes the relationship between the crawler and the website. Instead of forcing an AI agent to load all those visual pixels or parse messy HTML code, it establishes a direct API-like connection.
So it's bypassing the front end completely.
Completely. The AI doesn't look at the site at all. It essentially queries the brand's database directly through a structured JSON payload.
Okay, so it's just asking direct questions.
Exactly. It asks the server, what is the current inventory and price of this specific SKU right now? And the server responds instantly with clean, structured data.
Wow.
Yeah, it allows agents to securely access backend data and use the functionality of a website natively in real time without ever needing the visual interface.
And then when you add UCP to the mix, the Universal Commerce Protocol,
that's the holy grail.
Yeah, that's the piece that takes it from just retrieving information to actual transacting.
Right. UCP is the bridge that lets a machine securely buy a product directly from the search results or even a chat interface.
Like what Shopify is doing.
Yes. Look at Shopify's recent rollout of agentic storefronts. It is wild. Millions of Shopify merchants can now sell their products directly inside ChatGPT, inside Microsoft Copilot, and the Gemini app.
Okay, let's actually walk through what that looks like for the end user, because I think it's hard to visualize if you haven't seen it.
Sure.
Say a user's in ChatGPT, right? And they're planning a camping trip. They ask the AI for a recommendation on a really good 4-person tent.
A super common prompt.
Exactly. So ChatGPT uses UCP to query Shopify merchants, finds the perfect tent, and presents it right there in the chat interface as this sleek, interactive widget.
You don't even have to click a link.
No. The user just clicks buy right in the chat. And instead of redirecting the user to the merchant's website to fill out a clunky form, UCP securely passes the user's tokenized wallet information.
Like their Apple Pay or whatever.
Right, Apple Pay or a saved card directly to the merchant's backend. The transaction clears, the inventory updates, and the user never once leaves that ChatGPT window.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Shopify spent, 2 decades building all that back-end infrastructure for commerce payments, inventory, tax calculations, and now they are just plugging that structured data directly into the AI models using UCP.
It's a completely seamless loop.
It is. And UCP has massive backing. We're talking Walmart, Target, Stripe, MasterCard. The biggest players in global commerce are adopting this standard.
Okay, but I have to push back here a little bit.
Go for it.
I really struggle to believe that design is just completely dead in this scenario. Because, trust is a massive part of conversion for any brand.
Yep.
A human sees a beautifully designed site, they see high-quality photography, a sleek user interface, and they subconsciously trust the brand enough to put their credit card in.
Right.
If an agent is just looking at raw XML or JSON payloads through WebMCP, how does it know the site isn't some fly-by-night scam?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't visual branding still acting as a critical trust signal?
I hear you, but that is a very human bias.
Right.
Yeah. Agents do not measure trust through aesthetics at all. Because think about it. A scammer can easily clone a beautiful website using generative UI in about 3 seconds today.
That's a fair point. True.
So instead, an AI agent measures trust through completely different structural vectors.
Like what?
It looks at entity resolution. So is this brand a recognized entity across the wider web graph? It validates SSL certificates instantly. It cross-references product reviews via API from third-party sites in milliseconds.
Oh, wow. So it's doing background checks on the fly.
Exactly. It analyzes domain history, server locations, shipping policy data. And here's the kicker. If your pricing is trapped in a beautiful, unreadable graphic, the agent skips you entirely.
Because it can't parse the data.
Right. And if your product data is inconsistent across different pages, the model actually lowers your confidence score and just chooses the competitor with cleaner inputs.
Man.
Visibility without operability is now a massive liability.
That is a terrifying reality check for brands that have invested, millions strictly into front-end user experience.
It really is.
Because if the platforms are routing all these transactions to the path of least computational resistance, well, the traditional marketing agency retainer is basically a dead end.
Totally obsolete.
If an agency is still selling like packages of keyword rankings, 10 blog posts a month, and handing over a PDF reporting deck showing quote-unquote traffic increases.
They're selling an eroded commodity.
Right. The entire business model has to change right now.
It has to, because the entire premise of classic search marketing asked one very simple question. Can your page rank?
Be number one on Google.
Exactly. But the agentic web asks a much harder structural question. It asks, can your brand be interpreted, trusted, and acted on by a machine?
Which is a totally different skill set.
Right. That shift means the agency of the future isn't an execution vendor optimizing for clicks anymore. They have to become an infrastructure advisor optimizing for interoperability.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in the shoes of an agency owner right now.
Okay.
You are sitting in a boardroom. The client pulls up their analytics dashboard, points to a 20% drop in organic traffic this quarter, and asks, quite frankly, why am I still paying you?
Yeah, the tough conversation.
Very tough. How do you actually update that executive narrative without sounding like you were just making excuses for bad performance?
You have to change the foundational conversation around revenue attribution itself. You can't use the old metrics.
So where do you start?
The explanation starts by making it crystal clear to the client that the platform, whether it's Google or OpenAI, has shifted from being a referral engine to an intermediation engine.
Referral to intermediation.
Yes. Google and OpenAI are no longer in the business of just sending users to your website. They want to act as the middleman. They answer the user's question, they compare the products, and they complete the purchase natively on their own interfaces.
The AI is doing the browsing for the user.
Exactly. So relying purely on traditional last-touch traffic or human browser sessions to prove value is fundamentally flawed now.
But how do you actually measure that? Because you can't just tell a board of directors, hey, the bots bought it, trust me.
No, they'll fire you.
Right. So how do you track machine-mediated influence if standard analytics packages rely on human browser sessions and JavaScript pixels, which, as we just discussed, these agents often completely bypass?
This is exactly where agencies must evolve their technical capabilities.
Yeah.
Measurement has to move to server log analysis.
Getting into the raw data.
Yes. You have to look at the raw hits to the server from known AI agent IP ranges and their specific user agent strings.
Okay, that makes sense.
Agencies will need to build entirely new dashboards that cross-reference server-side agent crawl rates with corresponding spikes in direct sales.
So you're matching the bot activity to the revenue.
Exactly. You start setting up honeypot URLs or specific agent-only API endpoints to track exactly when and how often a model is interacting with your product catalog.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. If an AI agent reads your structured data via WebMCP and then recommends your product to a user in a chat, that is a massive conversion win.
But it'll never show up in Google Analytics.
Right. You are simply measuring it wrong if you expect to see it as a traditional web session.
Okay, so you use that narrative from referral to intermediation to stop the client's panic and prove the AI is actually interacting with the brand.
Yeah.
But you still have to fix the underlying friction, right?
Oh, absolutely. The narrative is just step one.
Because changing the story only works if you have entirely new, highly valuable services to sell the client to actually solve the problem.
And the sources we're analyzing outline a very clear tactical breakdown of the specific new service lines agencies need to bring to market, like immediately.
Let's go through them. What's the first one?
The first core offering is the agent readiness audit.
Okay, but what exactly are we auditing there? Because we've established we aren't looking at color schemes or brand voice anymore.
No. You are auditing strictly for machine friction.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's take a B2B software as a service company. An agent arrives on the site, and its task is to find the enterprise pricing tier and book a demo for its human user.
Pretty standard B2B flow.
Right. The audit evaluates things like, can a non-human system retrieve the price via the API?
Okay.
Is the book a demo form hidden behind some dynamic JavaScript pop-up that a crawler can't even trigger? Are there aggressive KPTHAs blocking the crawler from accessing the contact page entirely?
Oh, KPTHAs are a huge bottleneck for agents, right?
Massive. So the audit is essentially a highly technical teardown of the entire conversion path, but strictly from the perspective of a machine.
Wow. And if that audit shows the agent is getting stuck, clearing the path means you have to start talking its native language.
Exactly.
Which points directly to the next new service line from the reports. Structured data and feed governance.
Yes, this is so critical.
I really want to emphasize this because schema markup used to be considered like technical housekeeping.
Oh, totally. It was an afterthought.
Right. It was the tedious stuff the SEO team did in the basement while the creative team was upstairs presenting the shiny new ad campaign.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not at all. In the agentic web, structured data is the primary asset. It dictates exactly how an AI system conceptualizes a brand. If your data feeds aren't pristine, you literally do not exist to the agent.
The feed is the brand now. That's the reality.
Which requires a totally different approach to how we build pages, right? Product and service page redesigns.
Yes. Agencies need to sell rebuilds that focus on machine readability first.
What does that look like in practice?
It means simplifying the entire conversion architecture, so that if an agent uses WebMCP to natively interact with the lead form, the data fields are perfectly mapped.
Clean inputs.
Right. The transaction needs to occur seamlessly without a human ever needing to, interpret a clever punny headline to figure out what the product actually does. The machine just needs the facts.
Makes total sense. And the final piece of the service puzzle mentioned in these reports is AI citation tracking.
Yes, closing the loop.
Because since you can't rely on traditional traffic, the agency has to provide reporting on how often the brand is being cited in AI overviews, inside ChatGPT responses, and in Perplexity summaries.
Right, you track the mentions.
And then you track how those specific recommendations correlate with actual sales velocity, proving your value to the client even when the traffic column in their spreadsheet is totally blank.
And this represents a completely different category of strategic work. It really is not just, SEO 2.0.
Oh, it's a completely new paradigm.
The agencies that reposition early to offer these audits, to govern the data feeds, to track those citations, they're going to elevate themselves from expendable marketing vendors to foundational business consultants.
Reading through Marie Haynes' advice on this whole transition, she brings up this fascinating concept of vibe coding.
Oh, yes. Using tools like Claude Code or Google's AI Studio.
Yeah, or anti-gravity. It's this idea that AI is democratizing software development so much that people can essentially, quote unquote, vibe or prompt their way to building functioning applications.
Without knowing a single line of Python.
Exactly. And it sparked a realization for me about how the role of the agency itself is evolving here.
How so?
Well, we are moving entirely away from the old days of hacking algorithms with keyword density or backlink spam. The new agency is really the ultimate translator.
I like that framing.
You act as a translator between a brand's messy, nuanced, highly human reality and an AI's rigid, structured, data-hungry needs. You are making the brand fluent in machine language.
You are essentially building and maintaining the API for the brand's very existence on the web.
Which is a huge responsibility.
It is. And this transition from a human-first web to an agent-first web, it feels disruptive, but it really shouldn't be terrifying.
It's an upgrade.
Right. It just means we are no longer optimizing for mere clicks, just crossing our fingers and hoping a human reads a page, doesn't get distracted, and eventually decides to buy.
Which was always a numbers game anyway.
Exactly. Now we are optimizing for direct action. Frictionless commerce and automated lead generation can now happen at a scale and speed that manual human browsing could literally never achieve.
The era of search as a simple traffic channel is officially over. that chapter is closed.
Definitely.
When an AI agent shows up to your site, bypassing your homepage, bypassing your beautiful hero video, and it is ready to act, ready to buy a product or book a consultation on behalf of its human user, your business better be built for that exact moment.
Because the entire ecosystem is wiring itself for agent-based buying. The infrastructure has moved out of the experimental pilot phase. It's live. It is live and integrated into the foundational platforms we all use. It is now purely a matter of operational readiness at the brand level.
Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today. Something to seriously mull over as you map out your agency strategy for the rest of the year.
The big what if.
Right. We have spent this entire deep dive talking about humans using AI agents to browse the web and interact with businesses. But what happens when we reach the point of agent-to-agent communication?
A2A.
A2A.
Yeah, the landscape completely fractures once you introduce native negotiation into the mix.
Think about the logical next step here. Say you successfully use these new protocols, like WebMCP, to build a dedicated AI agent for your brand.
Okay.
An agent that perfectly understands your real-time inventory, your absolute bottom-line pricing margins, and your ideal customer profile. What happens when your brand's agent starts communicating directly with a potential buyer's AI agent?
They just bypass the humans entirely.
Completely. Your website is no longer a static brochure waiting to be read. It is actively talking back. The buyer's agent says, hey, my client wants this software package, but our budget is capped at $5,000.
And your agent doesn't need to consult a manager?
No. Your site's agent instantly checks capacity, evaluates the lifetime value of the client based on their data, and counters with, we can do $5,000, but only if you sign a 2-year commitment today.
Wow.
They negotiate pricing, terms, lead qualification in real time, machine to machine, in a matter of milliseconds.
Which is wild to even think about.
If that is the future we are hurtling toward, and honestly, the data strongly suggests we are what happens to traditional sales teams. Are you ready for a web where your website operates as your most aggressive, most capable employee?
That is the big question.
It is. And that is the infrastructure you need to start building today.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe.